So what I wanted to build on is this concept that every company in the world is facing. It's this need to deliver a next generation customer experience. Typically, this means an omni-channel experience, bringing together your web experience, your offline experience, your mobile experience, so that when you're dealing with your customers, you're understanding their 360-degree vision with your company and helping give them a seamless experience. At the same time, we're seeing enormous pressure on IT budgets to deliver these architectures in a cost-effective means, and also to channel as much cost savings into innovation as possible. Pretty much every industry in the world is being disrupted by digitalization. So how can you deliver your best possible product, your best possible processes to your customers? And so that typically involves moving spend from some of your legacy aspects to your modern customer experience. And then lastly, there's a lot of competition around talent, especially around your developers and your management teams, but also new hires. And how can you provide a good experience to those employees so that they enjoy working for you, that they feel energized and productive, and they have good experiences ultimately with your customers. So these are all themes that we're seeing, and integration plays a really big part in this. And as we're talking about today with event-driven architectures, how can you deliver these real-time experiences in a seamless, frictionless way? So when you start looking within your organization, there's going to be common challenges. So you typically have a complex IT architecture that involves some legacy on-premise aspects. It's going to be combining that with some cloud infrastructure from one of the hyperscalers, probably some best of breed SaaS applications. And all of this comes together to deliver the modern business processes that you have, but it provides this complexity about where do you get the right data at the right time for your organization. You also, associated with this, have a lot of siloed data. And this data could be in different formats. So that the key part of integration and event-driven architecture is how can you eliminate these silos? How can you get access to this data when it's needed and provide that in a uniform, reliable manner? And ultimately, the next thing, right, is your customers. Your customers are expecting when they go to your website, when they're on their mobile phone, that they get a consistent experience from you, that it's efficient and it uses their time wisely. And then, as I mentioned, the developers, right, that you've been able to retain and been able to build on, right, there's pressure from them to give them a good experience so that they feel productive. So what we see within organizations is these common approaches, right? Getting these super processes in place, whether lead to cash, recruit to retire. So these are big mega processes that span your organization. And how can you get access to that data in every stage of that mega process and make it available to your stakeholders? Then there's the need to take insight and action, right? Just because you have access to the data, you need to be able to take action, make changes. Then related to the shortage of developers, we see pressure to make this data available to citizen developers within your organization. So people within lines of business like HR, finance, and they want to self-serve. They want to get access to this data. And so what we're seeing is companies build this prepackaged content, these extensions, if you will, that they can go in, get the information they need and solve their business problems. And then lastly, ease of use tooling and capabilities that empower your consumers and your customers to be self-service, right? They also want to get access a customer portal, for example, see what their account looks like, make changes in real time. And in terms of event-driven architectures, what is the inventory available to me right now? And how can I place an order for that in the most efficient manner? So ultimately, everybody's striving towards this end state where there's real-time decision-making and processes. But how do you get there? How do you get to this customer experience that's seamless and appealing to everybody? So as David was talking about with these different elements of integration across application integration, data integration, et cetera, we found that a lot of customers out there were struggling with how do you document where you are today and how do you document where you want to go internally so you can get executive buy-in, so you can get the resources you need. And ultimately, in the context of today, how can you find opportunities to put in place innovation? How can you start leveraging event-driven architectures? So we have this integration methodology that SAP's developed. It's completely complementary. We have a website that's available. There's about 1,000 customers and partners that use this methodology. And it covers SAP and non-SAP concepts. So by no means is it proprietary. And as you can see here, it comes with some complementary assets that help you document, like I said, where you are and where you want to go. And so here's an example where we sort of document this typical landscape where you have your user-centric applications, like I was talking about, providing these real-time experiences for your customers and your employees and your partners. And so typically, these interactions will be leveraging this cloud applications that you have in your landscape, or it might be some legacy on-premise. And then as a result of that, you have this hybrid architecture where you've got cloud to cloud communications going on, cloud to on-premise. In frequent industries, you see things like IoT, government interactions, standardized partner interactions. So these are sort of the different domains. So you can start to see how you could map your own business to these different common use cases and start thinking about how would you document your user to cloud integration or your user to on-premise integration. And in the context of today, how could you make that more efficient with event-driven architecture? And then similar to what David was talking about with these classifications, right? Once you have these components of your integration styles that are active within your organization, then we start mapping them to process integration, data integration. And this helps people understand, the complexities of your current approach and how things might be improved. And so you can see here along the bottom, things like event-driven integration, RPA, robotic process automation, things like AI, machine learning, right? We see customers leveraging all these new technologies to augment some of the legacy integration that they have and how to ultimately provide this better customer experience that we're all striving for. Another asset that we have are reference architectures. Again, we see commonality across customers where they have these different aspects of their business from a technology standpoint and from a business standpoint. So we've come up with these diagrams that we call blueprints. And so here's a very generic one, but I'm going to point you to our Discovery Center, which again is a complementary resource, where essentially we've taken these concepts around, as you can see here, API management, HANA database, connecting to your on-premise landscape, and we've created what we call missions, so step-by-step guidance on how you can get started with specific aspects of technology. And to underpin this, we have complementary trial software that's available that you can build these, and then even coaches are assigned to help you navigate some of these missions. So you can see here in the context of event-driven architecture, I have what we call event mesh. And so you can see how that plugs in with some of the other integration aspects like cloud integration, which is a process integration tool, API management, which helps abstract your underlying systems and essentially provides better performance to your users when they're interacting with these systems. So these different aspects that David covered sort of come together. And so these blueprints show you different use cases and just show you how different companies are bringing together these resources. And so the hope is that these blueprints have helped you and you can start mapping them to your own landscape. And so we've seen many customers take these blueprints, take these assets and start building blueprint architectures to help illustrate how you're currently approaching integration and how you might move to event-driven architectures. So I wanted to bring it real, bring it down to 2 customer examples where they've taken the methodology, they've taken the blueprints, and they've been able to implement event-driven architectures. So the first one is a company based or headquartered in Brazil called Natura. They are a conglomerate and they own household names like The Body Shop. And so Natura is amongst having their retail footprint of The Body Shop, they're also a multi-level marketing organization that sells beauty products, organic beauty products to customers around the globe. And so they have a couple of objectives, right? First of all, they had the siloed data problem that we described earlier as a common problem. You'll also see here that they have 1.8 million sales consultants out there meeting with customers. So a very complex field organization. And so that's generating a lot of transactions. You can see that they've got over 100 million customers. And so essentially they not only do they want to deliver these great products, but they want to do it efficiently. So these 1.8 million sales consultants, they need access in real time to what inventories look like for certain products. And then also because they have sustainability goals, they want to be as efficient as possible with local inventories, local deliveries. And so real-time event-driven architecture is really important for them. So you can see here they've got 200 sales orders being placed a minute. And so the idea of this architecture that they've put in place, right, is to obviously support this high volume of sales consultants and these high volume of sales orders. But ultimately, they're also trying to reduce their environmental footprint. And so this is where real-time updates are key in terms of seeing what is inventory and these sales transactions taking place. And then it's also important for those customers. They also wanted this seamless omnichannel experience. And so again, those customers need access in real time to inventories and to sales orders and changing orders and things like that. So you can see here there's a link to this story, but this is an example where a very complex, sophisticated customer has been able to implement event-driven architectures in combination with some of those legacy landscapes that I mentioned, you know, their on-premise footprint and then some of their cloud elements as well. And then secondly, Elkjob is based in the Nordics. So they're a big box retailer. And so you can see here, have over 400 stores, and they have about 12,000 store representatives. And so they're under a lot of pressure from online retailers. And so part of their objective was to roll out this next generation customer experience. So again, similar to those themes we spoke about before. And ultimately what they were looking for was the ability of these store representatives in real time to be interacting with their customers, as you can see in this picture. And the idea was give them a mobile application, again, where they can view in real time what is the inventory of certain products, how can they place an order for that customer, because they were finding that the retail representative was having to spend a lot of time away from that customer. It also provides them with visibility into the digital experience that these customers have. So they're able to plug it together and have a 360-degree interaction with their customer. And again, you can see they're looking at 30,000 transactions per second. So it's really important this flows smoothly, efficiently, and that they're able to provide their customers with self-service scheduling, self-service installation services. They also wanted to deploy these new business models as a service, subscriptions. So they have basically digitalized and reformatted their business, focused around the customer, and then using event-driven architectures to help them operate in real time. And again, there's a link to this story if you're interested in hearing more about their success. So as I mentioned, we find that resources can really help you go from concept to implementation. So I just wanted to recap some of those for you. So first is the integration solution advisory methodology. So there's a website that you can go to, completely complimentary. You can get access to some of those assets I was describing. And we've seen many customers map where they are, where they want to go, and how they're going to get there. And again, not necessarily in SAP terminology, but just as an integration tool that's available to you. Secondly, there's the SAP Discovery Center. Again, this is a complementary resource that the goal is to help you get started with certain technology. So there's many missions on this site, but I just wanted to highlight for you 2 event-driven architectures. One, which is based on our S/4HANA ERP system, and the second one, which is based around our SuccessFactors HR line of business solution. And again, both of these underlying applications support events. And so that's why these missions exist, is to help you enable those events and help you get started with an event-driven architecture. So it's step-by-step guidance. And as I mentioned before, there's a coach typically assigned that can help you with these missions. So thank you very much. I hope that was helpful for you in terms of the resources that I highlighted and the customer stories that I showed you.